Well, hello again, everybody. It's time for episode 217 of the 3-Point Podcast, presented by Memorial Healthcare. They're the home of the state-of-the-art Now Community Wellness Center. Well, we're recording this Sunday morning, May 15th, and the NBA playoffs will be sizzling with 2 Game 7s tonight. The Lions' schedule is out, and the fans seem to be worked up that they have no primetime games. And the Orioles visiting the Copa at just the right time. A little Jared karma there working the game, so keep it up, Jared. Yep. Also, we'll have a little bit of a Tedtertainment segment coming up here in just a little bit. Our other partners include Pro Real Estate and Auction, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Tap House and Grill, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, the Wash of Owasso, and the ALS Association of Michigan. And by the way, May is ALS Awareness Month, so please consider a donation to the ALS Association. Major League Baseball will continue its support for the second annual Lou Gehrig Day right around the corner coming up. And you can follow them at LG4Day if you want to follow them on Twitter. Well, we'll get the podcast rolling right after this.
Well, guys, before we get to our catch-up, I wanted to, Ted, in the intro, you always throw out our partners and everything, and you mentioned the Now Center, at the Memorial Healthcare, or one of our newer partners. And I just wanted to mention, so if you haven't, follow them on Facebook. I think their handle on Facebook is Memorial Healthcare Wellness Center for the Wellness Center. They are sharing. You weren't kidding when you talked about it. They have a ton of classes, Zumba, swim, and I don't know, just a ton of classes. So again, we've been hyping it up, but people in the Owasso area definitely check that place out, because I think whatever your like fitness level is or wherever you're trying to get, it seems like they have something for everyone.
They do.
You know what I think would be maybe the best ad we could ever do? Ted, let's get you to go take a before picture. Let's go have you, put you through all these classes for a couple months, and then let's take an after picture, man. And that's the only ad they'll ever need. Get you in rocking shape.
The only scary part is, man, it'd have to take a lot of money to have me take a profile side picture with my shirt off. That's all I got to say.
They'd have to up the ante from the corporate sponsorship.
Yeah.
How's the family weight loss challenge going? I kind of forgot about that.
I don't want to reveal too much because I don't want to give other family members any motivation, but I'm doing pretty well.
Nice.
Pretty well.
All right. There you go.
That's the thing. You gotta start somewhere, and then you gotta keep with it. So,
well, what I'm finding is, and I'm kind of doing the intermittent fasting, and then just consciously watching what I eat, smaller portions, try to cut out as much carbs as I can. I still want to make sure that I, keep a good bowel movement routine, if you want to go there. So I got to get some salad and maybe every once in a while a little wheat toast with no butter. But it's going pretty well. And, the first week I lost quite a bit. And then now it's been a gradual, couple pounds a week. I weigh in every Sunday morning. So it's a gradual thing. It's a change of lifestyle.
That's the big thing too. When you're seeing results, that makes you say, "Oh, cool, it's working. Yeah. Let's keep it going." So, I'll be curious to see the final results, the tally at the family reunion there. But so, I was going to bring up in our catch up. There's a video that's been going viral, and it's still going viral. I hopped on Twitter this morning, and there's still people sharing it like crazy. Just the gist for people who haven't seen it. It's your classic someone recording an umpire at a Little League baseball game. And I wanted to bring it up and see your guys' thoughts, because I know, Ted, you said you used to umpire, and and I did too. I don't know, Jared, did you ever umpire? You never did. So this video, it's at let's keep this in mind. It's at a Little League baseball game, 9-year-olds, and it's clearly the parents sitting right behind the backstop, which, actually, happens quite a bit, especially at, summer ball or Little League games. And they're heckling the ump. And finally the video starts, the ump's going over to the fence, and he's basically saying, like, zip it. Like, basically, like, I'm about to forfeit this game if you guys keep this up. They keep it up. Finally, this ump has the cojones to say, is it done? This game's over. He throws his hands up and says, that's it. And he starts walking off, and they keep yelling at him. And he turns on and basically says something like, you're doing this at your 9-year-old's baseball game. Like, you're the one that's looking like the idiot right now. And I'm out. And then right at the end, of course, there's some lady that thinks she's like proving some point. She says, like, this guy's a firefighter protecting your community, and you're doing this. And it's like, okay, well, we don't even need to get into like how ridiculous that statement is. But anyway, what I wanted to bring up is,
I watch the video, man.
It's great.
It is.
I think I retweeted it, and I think our at 3 Point Pod, I think, we retweeted it there too. But so I used to in Corona, I umpired summer ball from probably like 8th grade through college. My first couple summers back from college when I would go back. So like a good 6-7 years, I umpired summer baseball in Corona, and it was a great summer job. Great summer job there. You go do whatever other jobs you might have, go at night, umpire a couple games, make some cash, and go about your day. And then I did actually end up becoming MHSAA certified, because it was kind of my plan when I was graduating college was 2008, when the economy was taking a dump. So people were like, what are we going to do? And I was like, hey, maybe I'll fall back on being an umpire. So, I did get MHSAA certified. I did quite a bit of umpiring, and it's amazing, seeing the replies whenever people share videos like this. You get two sides. And I feel like sometimes with these, there's not really two sides. You get people who have umpired, played, and said this happens all the time. You get people even defending the parents, berating the umpire, saying like they're competitive. The umpire needs to just get it right. They're getting paid. They should just, they should be prepared to get this from the parents. And I have to tell you, I did some JV. I did all the way down from Little League all the way up to varsity baseball. Little League parents are the worst. I never had the nuts to, forfeit a game and say, this is it. I definitely had to turn around and tell some parents like, you need to keep it down, or, we're going to have to stop the game. But so what do you guys like? Where do you guys stand on that? Like, is there a line? Can parents like chirp a little bit? Like say, hey, come on, Blue, like open your eyes a little bit, and that's it? Or do they have a line where you can just like be behind the fence spouting off? Because sometimes I'll think, some of those games I was umping for the Corona summer, I was only making like $20 a game. And it's like, I'm not taking, this is back, 20 years ago or whatever.
No, but what's funny is I remember I had some buddies, and I'll just say this right off the rip. You couldn't pay me all of King Midas's silver to umpire a game. That's the worst job. That's the worst job that's ever been created. I'm sorry. It's the worst job.
Loved it.
20, it was $20. I remember I had some buddies that did it. $20 a game in 2015. So that's roughly, $1 per hour, basically. No, it's a horrible gig. I would never do it. As for the parents, man, I don't understand it. Ted, you guys are both been parents. Matt, I can see hypocrite coming back and biting you on this, because once you got your kids out there on the field and you're sitting there behind home plate, and your little son strikes out on a bad ball, and the umpire strikes him out, I could see you maybe losing your cool behind them. So I think it's a lot of people say like, I'll never be that parent, and then they end up being that parent. But no, it's way overboard. Who cares? Unless it's like this is the first level I would say you could start complaining, like varsity playoffs. That's when you can maybe complain to the refs or the umpire if it's really that bad of a call. But no, I would never, ever want to be an umpire. It's just the worst job in the world because of parents like that. Now, I do remember, and this is just funny, I remember this. Ted gave me an Inside Sports edition for my birthday one year. And I remember the very special, like the cover was this like umpire camp back in like the 1980s, where all like the youngest, like good umpires would go to like some MLB training ground. And I remember just thinking it was like the coolest camp in the world. So if I went to that, then I would maybe consider umpiring. But no, parents are the worst nowadays. They've always been horrible, but it just gets worse and worse.
Yeah, my opinion is, well, first of all, your math on $1 an hour for a game.
Game's like 3 hours long. I mean, basically taxes deducted, man, like $1 an hour.
But throwing that aside, can't agree more as far as parents. I mean, parents, I've always had a real issue with parents in the stands just going nuts, losing their minds against the officials. I mean, if they're any better, they should be out there doing it them damn selves. But at Little League especially, you got to be kidding me. I mean, Matt, you're a parent. I'm a parent. Like Jared said, there is no way I would make a spectacle out of myself watching my child's activity, getting on somebody that's trying to help out. A lot of it's volunteer but even $20 is kind of volunteer. And usually, like when you're umping Little League games, you're a high school kid. I mean, it's nuts. I remember when I played, Dave Harvey was the high school kid at the time, and he was the umpire, and he was a cool cat, man. But he did a good job, and like anything else in life, if you're going to go into that, I don't care if you're a high school senior, if you're in college wanting to work your way through, you do have to put the time and effort into it, and you do have to. You can eliminate a lot of the heckling and all that if you hustle, if you're on top of things. But if you're just sitting there going through the motions, like Mr. Cool Guy behind the plate, I do understand some emotions when you're not giving 100% effort officiating, but it's definitely unacceptable for parents to lose their minds. I wish these little league commissioners who run these leagues, I know they get together with the parents before the season, but it should be a no tolerance thing. That video that you shared, those parents should be banned for life.
Yeah. Yeah. And it like you kind of said, put the spotlight on you. That's what I always think too. Like, you're just embarrassing your child.
Right.
Because, your kid's over there, the spectacle's going on over here. And, the kids in the dugout are like, whose parents are those? Oh, those are your parents. Oh, your parents just got our game ended. Thanks a lot. And, now you're the kid's embarrassed. And, you're just putting the spotlight on you. And it's also like teaching your kid how not to treat an official.
Mm-hmm.
Jared, you grew up, your dad's a coach and everything. So you probably heard this kind of stuff your whole life. Like, there is a respect factor when you're playing sports with the officials. Yeah. When you watch the NBA, these dudes just complain about everything, the whole game, basically. They're professionals making millions of dollars. So maybe that's different. But yeah, when you're in high school, there's a way that you're supposed to handle yourselves on the court or the field or whatever. And when you see your parents acting like that, when you're a little leaguer, you might think like, oh, it's okay for me to do that. I'm going to start, when I'm up to bat, I'm going to turn around and yell at the umpire when he misses a call. So there's a way to handle things. A handful of times, I remember parents in between innings would say like, hey, Blue, come here. I'd walk over the fence and they would say like, your strike zone, it seems a little tight today, or something like that. Or, that play at first, it looked like he was safe. And then, we talk about it and then move on. Like stuff like that, 100% cool. Do that. But when you're just behind the fence, chirp, 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 it's like, what are you doing? Even if it is a varsity game or whatever, it's still like, it's not like those guys are making millions of dollars umpiring. So I have to say though, Jared, I'm a little surprised. Worst job in the world, basically, was your take.
I mean that, and
I'm telling you,
sincerity, man.
And maybe because I just grew up loving baseball, and I still do enjoy the game. Like that was a fun job. That was one of my favorite jobs, being involved in the game. I would say, like if I was a varsity baseball coach at some school, I wouldn't require it, but I would highly, highly encourage my players in the summer to umpire little league games and get involved in the game. It's a good mentorship opportunity. You're involved in the game. You're learning the ins and outs of the games. You get a respect for being an umpire and getting all that stuff going on. It was a great game. The best time that I was an umpire, my first summer back from college, I worked at Chippewa Hills, and I was basically mowing grass and doing all that stuff there. I would do that during the day. Then I'd go umpire a couple games at night. That was a hell of a summer. I was probably not really bringing in a ton of money back then. It felt like it, but
yeah,
no, I'm surprised because Ted, you umpired. Did you have anything like that when you umpired?
Oh, absolutely not. I had no issues. I mean, in fact, when I first got involved, Dick Moffitt was running the Corunna youth program.
Man, you're throwing out some legendary names.
That's the generational thing here. But Dick Moffitt was running it, and he basically turned things over to me. I was like, I don't know, 14 years old, a freshman in high school. And he said, run this league, and I was out there riding the trailer, doing the fields and all that.
Sorry, you might have been the best freshman in the world, but that league probably took a severe hit when a freshman in high school took it over. I mean,
yeah, but I do have that kind of personality. I mean, stuff like that doesn't bother me. Right. The umpiring, there were definitely fans throughout my umpiring and basketball refereeing career that would get on you, but you just got to move on. And like I said at the very beginning, if you hustle, if you show the effort that you're putting into it, usually you can stop them pretty quickly because they know you're trying, but
Right.
still there's still those idiots out there that they just don't get it. And they think their little Johnny's going to be a major leaguer, and and you're hindering it with your bad calls. It's just,
it's
I don't know. It's the cycle we live in this society nowadays. I mean, what you're talking about, that video, that's just an adult version of bullying. That's all it is.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is. It's not, and it's sometimes probably not even related to the kid. It's more like, let me just try to like alpha this guy in public is what it feels like. But even Matt, I'll even disagree with you. The fans, even the parents, should never be talking to you during a game, even if it is a nice like that is the manager's job to be telling you, if you missed a call or if the strike zone was off or whatever. That is the manager or the coach's job. That's not, you should almost never have to talk to the parents during the game. And that's what sucks about baseball. It's so slow, and there's so much time in between pitches that, you hear every single word that those parents are hurling at you. And there's no surprise why we have a shortage of umpires with, all the problems we see, all these viral videos we always see of these bad parents, man. It's no surprise. Like I said, it's in the $20 an hour. It's just not cutting it anymore. No. Kids are getting smarter. They got video games now. And believe me, they're going to go sweat out in the sun and get yelled at for $20 an hour.
Then you see the extreme ones where like parents start a fight with the umpire. There's been like a ton of videos of that. It seems to be like more like AAU basketball seems to be where it happens, but they try and fight the umpire, the ref after a game. So yeah, that stuff's not worth it. But I just thought that'd be interesting to bring up before we move on. I was going to show, I know, Ted, you like to know like behind the scenes stories of like, TV productions and stuff. Yep. Jared, you said you're working the series this weekend with the Tigers and Orioles.
Yep.
We just wrapped up. We did the Big 12 softball championship, the conference tournament. And a funny thing happened yesterday. I'll try and keep it quick because I know we're on a little schedule. So yesterday was the championship game, Oklahoma State. And so Oklahoma is the number one team in the country. They're a juggernaut. They've won like 14 straight conference tournaments, and they're just incredible. Game goes, softball 7 innings. Bottom of the 7th comes, and we're going to extras. The commercial break in between the bottom of the 7th going to the top of the 8th. Everything goes black. And we're all like, oh no, where did our cameras go? What happened? Well, what happens out at site is all the truck and everything that's feeding the cameras, the mics and everything, back to us runs on generators. And these aren't like your little $50 generators you pick up at Walmart. These are
Generacs.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's always two, there's a primary and a backup. And when it's supposed to kick over from the primary to the backup, because, we're running over like 3 hours or more now, it didn't kick over to the backup. And everything goes to black. We're the game continues, obviously, but we're not on TV. And so obviously everyone's blowing up and on Twitter or wherever, like, oh, ESPN, what's going on? And, we get it figured out. We only miss like 2 or 3 batters that, they figure things out, and then we're back up and running. But just one of those things that's funny. Like sometimes shit happens type of thing. Like, what do you do?
Well, again, the behind the scenes thing I want to know about, what were you doing and what communication goes on when you're missing those 2 batters, or who's in charge?
The cameras were still like shooting it. So like they were still they were still able to like talk back to our producer and director, but that's it. There's nothing we can do. Once they figured out that was the problem, that it was the generator, power, we're just
chilling out.
Sit back, waiting. There's nothing you can do. Just
and that was just probably just the cherry on top of the game going extra innings. I don't care who you are. That's a freaking knife to the gut after a nice long day of work. Yeah. The softball game, they just couldn't quite figure it out in 7 innings. Had to go extra.
Yeah, it's just funny. So got it figured out. Everything went well. So
good deal. A couple other things I have here in this part of the show is I want to say congratulations to Katie Richardson. She won the initial Fattel Family Scholarship of $2,000. So she's going on to Western to study nursing. A very cool scholarship that was set up by, my brother John. Coached a lot of basketball, including yourself, Matt, and some of his former teammates got together and put a kitty together to start this scholarship. It's called the Fattel Family Scholarship, but really it was to honor John and his coaching career. But it's a really cool thing to be a part of. And again, congratulations to Katie Richardson. Well done, and it's we're underway now, giving out money every year. How about that?
That's cool.
Also, I wanted to mention, Jared, your buddy, Noah Jacobs, and a friend of the podcast, is running for Mr. Owasso. He's, I believe his proceeds are going into the Humane Society, correct? Yep. And it's a really cool event they do every year. Obviously, you know, raising a lot of funds for charities. And it just always cracks me up, you know, that, and this is no diss at all, but I always thought it was funny when some, let's say, prominent Corunna person like Noah runs for a title called Mr. Owasso. I always thought, you know, if they really want participation from throughout the Shiawassee County area, just a simple thing to change it to Mr. Kerwood or something like that, Mr. Kerwood Festival. It's just something that always just a little bit bugged me, being a Corunna Cavalier.
Thoughts? But Mr. Owasso sounds awesome. Sounds like you're literally, but I had no idea what it used to mean. So I just thought it was like, oh, you're just like the coolest guy in town.
Right.
Dad, how come it seems like something you would have maybe ran for back in the day. How come you never
because it was called Mr. Owasso.
Exactly. No, it would never be something I would probably run for. Though I will say this again, all joking aside, they've raised a lot of money for different charities, you know, throughout the beginning of that contest. And kudos to everybody that participates. It's all volunteer stuff. I mean, Noah's putting a ton of time and effort into this, and we want to wish him the best of luck in his quest for the title. I think they just had a golf scramble yesterday, didn't they?
Yep, and if you would have saw a 3 Point Pod, nice little whole sponsor out there. Yeah, so he's it's like I said, it's a pure, about as good of a competition as you can have. I mean, all proceeds go to local charities. It's awesome, man, and it's cool that he's running for. I mean, like you said, it's not as simple as throwing out a couple if you really want to do a good job. It's not as simple as throwing a few Facebook posts out there and having a lunch at Roma's. You actually got to do a lot of fundraising. He's running all over the place. He's got golf outings going on. He's like running 30 miles across Lake Houghton or something.
Yeah, Houghton Lake. He's going to do a run around Houghton Lake for money.
Wow.
Yeah, so no, he's doing a great job. And he's, when you think of that award, and I think it's somebody who would be able to raise a lot of money for it, he's probably the first guy that would come to mind. So hopefully he wins it, man.
Yeah, that's cool. Hopefully he wins it. And Ted, I can just picture hearing that. He's running around Houghton Lake. You could give little boat tours around Lake Manitou.
Yeah, or to slow it down a little bit, I could actually maybe run around Lake Manitou. I couldn't run around Houghton Lake, though. I can tell you that much.
Maybe Hopkins Lake,
roughly the same size. Before we move on into NBA stuff and more of our sports potpourri, I know we've had a couple comments. People like to get caught up a little bit on some of the local sports we have going on, and I'll just use this segment to tell you that in high school baseball, New Lothrop, they're ranked number 5 in Division III. They spanked Frankenmuth 12-2 to improve to 22-1 on the season. I mean, New Lothrop's got a great baseball program over there. I mean, great in all sports, isn't it?
I was gonna say, yeah.
It's a breeding ground, man, of like just great like high school athletes, and they've even had a lot of college ones. I mean, Cam Orr and Amari Coleman way back in the day. I mean, I don't know what's in the water over there. I mean, I think it just has to do with coaching, but
a lot to do with coaching, And by the way, they're doing construction at Nick and Niece Complex, fully underway right now. And to kind of segue to New Lothrop, of course, he had a mythical state championship at New Lothrop in football back in the early '60s before he moved over to Corunna. So, but the work is underway there. They're doing a great job. They are saving the track. We talked about that last week, and I gave John a quick call this week. I said, because I saw it, and I thought, man, that's very impressive. The construction crews over there really wheeling and dealing, and they may get it done on deadline. I mean, that's the thought. The first game is a home game, and they're hoping to have it done. But I mentioned to John, I said, man, did you ever think about putting a camera on top of the scoreboard and doing kind of a time-lapse video of the entire construction project? And he did mention that the athletic director, Jason Beldiga, has been doing different drone shots from above, So I think that's what they're going to end up putting together as a video. Probably pass it on to Jared to edit it.
Yeah, probably. What's so funny about that?
A time lapse would be cool, though,
wouldn't it?
Yeah, those videos are the best ones. Of those are the baseball, like when it's a Notre Dame game at Fenway Park or something.
Right.
It's moving the baseball field and then bringing in
I
all
love
the
those.
football field. It's awesome. Those time lapse videos, easily maybe the most easy viral tweet you can have.
Yeah,
Right.
Or when they change like a basketball court to a hockey arena, or the other way around. Yeah.
I did have a couple more local high school stuff. Number 10, Chesaning, they're ranked number 3. They split with Owasso in a doubleheader, so the Indians are now 16-3-1. And I tweeted this week from the MHSAA. They had a pretty good article about Tyler Sager over there and those no-hitters we talked about last week. Owasso downed Corunna 14-7, also in This Week in Baseball. And in softball, Owasso pounded Corunna in another doubleheader, 21-0 and 10-0 to clinch a share of the Flint Metro League title, finishing in a tie with Clio at 17-3. Macy Ireland tossed a no-hitter in Game 1. The Trojans now 21-5. We're geared up at Z92.5 too. Hopefully they can get through the districts, because we're going to start following them live on the air for regional softball action and see if they can repeat as state champions. So fingers crossed there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, that's you talk about maybe jinxing something. Just all right, yeah, we'll see you in regionals. Oh, God, hopefully they get there.
Oh no, I know it's a risk, but we had to take it that way. We're going to be right back here, talk a little NBA basketball and a few other things right after this short pause. All right, guys. I mean, we are recording this on Sunday. 2 Game 7s in the NBA. We got 2 teams already set for the conference finals, but thoughts on what's going to transpire today?
I mean, it's set up to be, we've already talked about a lot. The NBA playoffs are probably our favorite professional sports playoffs, March Madness aside, obviously. The NBA playoffs just deliver over and over again, even with some of the blowouts that they've had. But, 2 Game 7s, and these are the 2 series that we've kind of been talking about. The Suns and the Mavs. The Suns, Jared's squad, they've been the best team in the NBA all year. And then you've got on the other side the Mavs, who probably a lot of people were sleeping on, but they've got that one player in Luka Doncic who can just carry a team. And then you flip over, you got the defending champs in the Bucks, with Giannis, the freak of nature. And then the Celtics that are just that homegrown. They've drafted all these dudes. They've brought in a couple guys like Horford and some other guys. But otherwise, they're going off of Smart and Brown and Tatum, guys that they drafted, and they've built this team. And they're just like a hard-nosed team. I bet, Ted, you probably love watching the Celtics play. And it's 2 Game 7s. It's anything, all you can ask for in sports. And there's been a bunch of Game 7s in hockey too this weekend. So it's the whole get your popcorn ready. I mean, these Game 7s are going to be incredible. So can't wait.
I have a bit of a confession to make. Last night, I watched a hockey game. I know, gasp. I watched a hockey game. And I just got to throw this. And the reason that I ended up watching was because, like you said, there's 5 NHL Game 7s this weekend. I mean, that's nuts, man.
It is.
And then 2 NBA ones. I mean, like you said, get your popcorn ready. But if you don't know this stat and you're not familiar with hockey, this is the one reason I tuned in last night. Toronto Maple Leafs, since 2018, they have had 10 series clinching games. They've lost all 10. And I just don't know how I saw that yesterday on ESPN, like, what the hell? I got to tune into this damn game. When you know what, they lost. We got 3 more NHL Game 7s today. But as for the Suns and the Mavs, man, I'd be lying if I felt good about it. It's Chris Paul's been a shell of himself since like the New Orleans series. Luka Doncic is a man possessed. The home crowd, nobody's won a game on the road yet in that series. So that's the one thing that makes me feel good is, hey, this crowd has really rejuvenated them every single time. But something about Luka Doncic in a Game 7, that's something you never want to see.
Right.
But I think the Suns will somehow, some way find a way to advance. And I think next season will really be the season for Luka. As for the Bucks, I mean, how impressive has this series been just in general for them? They're without Chris Middleton, and yet they still are probably the best team in the entire league. So that's another guy. He's even worse than Luka. You don't want to see Giannis in Game 7, so I'm gonna have to go with the Bucks in that series. I think he's just the best player in the league. He's gonna go off and probably get 50 today. Tatum is pretty damn good as well. I mean, he went toe to toe with Giannis in Game 6, but until the Bucks lose with Giannis playing the way he is, I'm not gonna pick against them.
It's hard. I agree with you on the pick on Phoenix. I think they're going to prevail just mainly because of the home court. I think Booker is going to come up big in that game to help clinch it. I go the other way, though, on the Celtics. I think Celtics at home, they're home, right? I think they're going to prevail. I mean, Giannis, he's just a beast, no doubt about it. And the guy that really has impressed me with the Bucks is Holiday, both ends of the court, man. That kid can play. But Jason Tatum, I'm sort of a casual NBA fan till you get to the playoffs, but that dude is a stud. I mean, he can play with anybody. I mean, he's a top 5 NBA player, I think, especially the way he's playing in this tournament. And Horford, we've talked about him, his comeback and his play against Giannis, both defensively and his points he's putting up. I just think the Celtics at home, the mystique, even though it's not the original parquet, I'm going to think the Celtics are going to win that one, the close one.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. It's kind of tough. I want the Celtics to win because I think a Celtics Heat series would be great. But if I had to make some predictions, I am kind of sticking, kind of like what Jared was saying.
Mm-hmm.
Until someone beats the Bucks, I'm not going to bet against the Bucks, especially with a player like Giannis. I think in a game 7, if you've got one guy, even with Tatum rolling, like you're saying, Ted, Tatum is on a roll. Even with him, I think Giannis is the guy. I mean, he's gonna put that team on his back, and my pick would be he's gonna carry them to a victory. But I think it'd be cool to see the Celtics win. And on the other side, even though I would love to see CP3 lose again in the playoffs and see the Suns go down, kind of the same way. I think Luka is a guy that can win a game 7. You know, if you need a guy to win you a game 7, that's Luka. But I just think the home court Phoenix, I think, will carry him, and Phoenix obviously is good. So I'd probably kind of with Jared, go Suns and Bucks, but the games are going to be great either way.
Oh, yeah. I also think that if I had to pick, I think the winner of both these, and I mean, you guys probably agree with me. I think the winner of both these game 7s is going to, make it out of the East and the West. Maybe you could say the Warriors might beat the Suns or the Mavs, but no, I really do think whoever wins these 2 games is going to end up in the NBA Finals. So what a great playoffs it's been so far. Let's just hope, whenever you have 2 games like this, you just hope that one of them is legendary. Just give us one of them that goes down to the wire, and we'll be happy. So for all the people that probably have already, seen those games and seen the results, hopefully we got at least one good game.
Yeah.
I disagree with you on one point. I think the Warriors are going to win it all this year. I mean, that's where my money is. They seem to have it together. It was weird, the game that they lost. It was like they were sleepwalking through that game till they got back to San Francisco, and then with that home energy, just drilled them.
No, I think Memphis, I think, was like the perfect storm type of thing. They just playing that defense that they played. That was the only way that you can beat the Warriors. If you have that kind of defense and then a player like Ja Morant to get you buckets, and obviously he was hurt, so that's why they lost. I don't know if anyone else is really like that in the playoffs. The Suns don't really play defense like that. The Mavs definitely don't play defense like that. So, yeah, I would probably lean towards the Warriors making it to the finals, but I could also see the Suns are good. I can't stand Chris Paul, but the Suns are really good. So.
The Warriors, outside of Draymond Green, man, they're so soft. You're going to see it. Draymond Green already has like 10 flagrant points, so he's a couple fouls away from being ejected from another game, and that could swing a series. We've seen it. 2016 Cleveland Cavaliers. Steph Curry, he cracks me up and he pisses me off. I've realized this. He's the one player I don't like on the Warriors. I love everybody else.
Wasn't he your guy? I thought you liked Steph Curry.
Oh, what?
No, I don't think so.
God, you liked the Warriors, didn't you?
No, they've always been LeBron's rival, so I've never liked them. But the only reason I don't like them is because of Steph. And of course, as soon as they're up by 15 at the very end of that game, he's running out the clock, dribbling for the whole entire shot clock, sprinting, taking a layup. As soon as he makes it, posing for the crowd. I just something about him. And I know I'm a hater for saying that, but I'm just rooting against them. I'll put my hand up. I'm 100% hard rooting against the Warriors the rest of the way. Ted, I do want to swing it back to this because this was so wild to me. James Harden, just total fall off a cliff. I've never seen anything like it in my entire life. A player just totally going from like maybe the best player in the league to the worst in the course of a season. I don't know how. But maybe a lot of people are throwing out the comparison to Allen Iverson. And I recently just like kind of followed that story. I didn't realize that Allen Iverson was basically off the Pistons within like a couple months of that trade happening. I mean, that was crazy. But Ted, the reason I want your opinion is because you had a long career in softball. Did you ever have like a sharp fall off, like one of the last years before you finally hung up the cleats, or were you a steady player all the way through?
No, I was pretty steady all the way through. I mean, at the end, playing softball, it was just a matter of my eyesight. I was starting to wear bifocals, and it was getting a little scary out there. Line drives or hot shots. So I decided this was the time to get out. But I was still very competitive all the way to the very end. So I get your point, but I got out when I needed to.
You got out before the game quit on you, type of
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
I remember my buddies, my coworkers, and I. We still talk about the fall before COVID, so it would have been fall of 2019 was the last fall that we played through work. But we do it through like a rec league down here, flag football, and it was the first time. And we have a couple guys that are like maybe your age, Jared, like mid 20s, but most of us are kind of my age, low 30s, maybe pushing 40 type of thing. And, all former athletes and stuff like that. But it was the first time, admittedly, we were all like, maybe kind of what we're talking about. We're creeping over that hill, because we definitely hung with every team. We were still good, but we were playing teams that were guys fresh out of college, still in their low 20s, still like, maybe in their prime type of thing. And there were definite games that we were like, 5 years ago, we would have been smoking these dudes, but for some reason we can't keep up with them anymore. Or like the stamina, like after one big play, we're all bent over and they're still like ready to go. So we say like that season, we were like, yeah, all right, we can feel it now. We're all 37 now. We're not 22, 24 or whatever. So
yeah. I feel like I've already hit a big decline in my athleticism. I'm freaking 23 years old, so I can't imagine what it's going to be like, when I hit like the 30 mark or the 40 mark. It's pretty scary, actually.
It's the 40-year-old virgin. Is it true if you don't use it, you lose it type of thing? I mean, like we were actually yesterday at work, we were talking about it. Like if you don't like legitimately, like I shoot around at the Y, before I work out, I'll pick up a ball, shoot around for 10, 15 minutes. But, I'm just like casually shooting around. If you don't legitimately like compete, that's a different kind of thing. Like the first time you go up and try and do a move and go up for a layup, your body is like, oh man, you're back. Or, even golfing, if you haven't golfed for like 6 months, the first time you like make a big swing, you're like, oh, wow, that did not feel right.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, you're right at that age, Matt. I mean, look at me, 65. I mean, but that just goes to show you how amazing athletes like LeBron James and Tom Brady are, because they've passed that plateau and they're still at a world-class level. That's stunning what they both have done, even though Lakers obviously disappointing with their record, but LeBron James, he's just a freak of nature, man.
Right.
Playing that game.
It doesn't hurt to have top-notch nutritionists and trainers, and you get massage therapists and all that kind of stuff.
That's what I always tell people is like it was so easy, like when I was in high school, think about like basically you were almost like a professional athlete in the sense that your job was like your sport. Really, I guess like somewhat school, but that's pretty easy to stay on top of if you have a brain. So basically your job was like your sport, and you live at home, you got your mom to cook for you and provide some groceries for you. I mean, it was the easiest thing to stay healthy and regimented and work out all the time. Like, so that's what I always tell people is like, yeah, it's not like when you're in high school and you're still at home. Like I have buddies at home who are kind of still following that same sort of like regiment. It's like, yeah, it's a freaking piece of cake. Wait till you get out on your own and you have to make your own meals and you're working all the time. Believe me, it's not that easy to stay in tip-top shape.
It's kind of funny. We're talking about this obviously in the sports world, but I know I've kind of made a couple comments at different times like, oh man, Jennifer Aniston's really still looking good. And so, wow, J-Lo too. And then my wife will say, well, yeah, they don't do anything but have trainers and nutritionists working with them all the time.
Yeah,
so it didn't go over too good.
Yeah, it's kind of like their job to stay attractive type of thing, whereas it's our job to like work or whatever.
Exactly.
But,
I mean, it's a lame excuse. Probably should still be taking care of our bodies, but it's a good excuse to use nonetheless.
Absolutely, it works.
Yeah.
Moving on in our sports potpourri. How about the NFL? Announcing their schedule. The Lions got theirs on no prime time. The only team with no primetime game. Is it a big deal or not?
No, they don't deserve it. They don't deserve it. And I'm not trying to be like a hater or like anything like that. Like, I've tweeted out, they've got Hard Knocks. They always have Thanksgiving. I think with where they're at, coming off a 3-win season, it's fine. And even Dan Campbell came out and he maybe was joking a little bit, but
I
he
loved
said,
it.
yeah, he said like he no problem with it. He loves 1:00 games. Get in, get out, and you're on with your day. Like,
right.
Man, some people are fired up about it too. Like,
I know.
disrespect. They start throwing out the Detroit versus everybody, and it's just like, hey, get over it. We won 3 games last year. Like,
I think we all know it's a matter of time before the Lions get booted from Thanksgiving Day. So if we don't have a primetime game, but we always have that.
I don't think so.
I know.
I don't either.
I did that a little bit exaggeration, but But you know that people definitely don't want to see the Lions on Thanksgiving Day.
No. Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's like, think about all the times that, we're getting ready for a Monday Night Football game and it's like the Jets versus the Browns. So at least the Lions aren't going to be one of those teams that people are pissed about, late in the year because they have that prime time slot. So no, they don't deserve it. 3 wins last year. No, I will say this though. The only thing I always look at when the Lions schedule comes out is week number 1, which we play the Eagles, which is, kind of a figure out what exactly this team is right away, which is
both
great.
teams really.
Yeah.
And then on Thanksgiving Day versus the Bills. I mean, that's probably that's going to be the best, Thanksgiving Day. That's the best team we've played on Thanksgiving Day in a long, long time. That's going to be a great game. I can't wait. And just something about the Bills playing on Thanksgiving, it feels right. Yeah. So I can't wait for that game either.
Yeah, I kind of like the way their schedule shakes out. It is a schedule to me. It looks like they could definitely double their win total, even push 8 wins, I think, from the way it lays out. If they get off to a good start, the first 2 games at home against the Eagles and Commanders, isn't it funny to say the Commanders? I mean, it just doesn't flow quite right yet. But if they can get those 2 wins and go on the road and beat Minnesota, they could be off to a good start. Now, I see 2-1 after those first 3 weeks, and maybe they can get a little confidence. They're going to get the Hard Knocks bump, I think.
Right.
So that'll be cool to see. I also wanted to throw in here, guys. This is kind of a side note. So yesterday, I'm driving down the road, and all of a sudden, my pops gives me a call, and he goes, "Man, I was just reading the paper. Aiden Hutchinson, $37 million. What is the world coming to?" And I mean, he's really worked up because he's not a huge fan. He thinks the Lions made a mistake getting Hutchinson.
That's actually surprising.
No,
who did he want? Did he know who else is on the board? Who did he want?
He just said, "Oh shit, he just got drilled by Georgia. He couldn't even keep up with them." And I said, "That's a fair point. That's a fair point, Dad." And then I go, "Well, Dad, if you want to really blow your mind, Hutchinson's getting $37 million, for playing football at vicious sport. How about Tom Brady getting $37 million a year to talk?" And that kind of calmed him down.
Yeah. You should have said, I talk about football all the time. Why can't I make $37 million doing that?
But I like that he's like worried about the Lions like cap space. With this Aiden Hutchinson deal.
I'll tell you what, it is kind of cool, Jared. Down the road, you're going to be having your conversations with your old man, but it is kind of cool. My dad and I do have this relationship, especially when it comes to football. We may not always be watching the games together, but when there's a good classic game on, I mean, our phones are blowing up, did you see that? And all this and that. It's been a kind of a cool relationship that I'm kind of his go-to guy when it comes to a football conversation. So it'll be a memory I'll always carry with me. So that's fun.
It is cool. Hopefully, and it's definitely very cool. And a lot of people are already questioning Hutchinson. So because of the contract, because of obviously the draft pick and everything. So there's going to be a lot of eyes on him this year, man. There's going to be a lot of eyes on him this year.
Well, the one thing too about his contract, I mean, it's guaranteed, 4-year guaranteed contract. That's not all bad. I think he got $25 million as a signing bonus.
Set up for life.
Hope he has a good accountant. Yeah, what do you do with a $25 million check?
Man,
how do you protect yourself?
Yeah.
We'll never know. Hey, continuing on in just kind of our potpourri, Jared, you are working the Tigers-Baltimore series. I mean, we always have to bring up the Tigers, at least during this time of the year, but they had been struggling, but Baltimore comes in, perfect time. They at least got a couple wins there. If they can, pick up a win here on Sunday, any chance of turning things around? I mean, they're 8 games back in their Central Division, but what do they got to do maybe to right the ship?
Get healthy.
Yeah. That's definitely number one. I mean,
Yeah.
Mai's still hurt. Manning's still hurt. Riley Green's still hurt. We still haven't even seen him this year. We just lost Michael Pineda, our new, free agent signing probably for the year with a broken finger. So that was a big time bummer yesterday, despite winning the game. I don't know. They got to keep their bats going, and I just don't know. Is this team as good as we thought they were? I mean, time will tell. It's a lot of games left, a lot of games to be played. It's nice to finally have just some positive momentum rolling.
Right.
And we finally got a series win for the first time since I think April 14th versus Kansas City, won I think the third series of the year or fourth series. So it's nice to finally see this team get some positive mojo rolling, and let's just see if they can keep it going. I mean, you're not going to make back 8 games in 1 week. So let's just, from here on out, let's just have a winning record and see where it'll take us.
That's what I was going to say. They basically can't lose any series the rest of the year. If you have a 4-game, you can split it, but you can't have they just came off like an 8-game losing streak or whatever, when, you can't have anything like that anymore. No. So
what do you think about that? Obviously their record's not very good, but I think we're all in agreement that it's not because of the manager, but there are people now also starting to lose their mind saying, hey, Hinch isn't the guy, it's just not working out. I think, what are you talking about? A manager can only do so much. You only throw the players out there. He knows the game obviously very well, and he also handles himself very well. What else do you want in a baseball manager?
Right. I mean, I think we all, maybe our expectations were a little high coming into this season. The roster does still have a lot of holes. And then the injuries. I mean, you can't ignore 3 of our starting pitchers. If you say Manning, Mize, and then now Pineda hurt. So you can't, that's tough to replace. We're already having to bring up 3, 4, 5 guys from the minors to make starts. We're not even 2 months into the season. So I just hope they, kind of like we were saying, get on a little roll. I'm not saying all of a sudden rip off 20 straight, but, just start winning some series.
Yeah.
Maybe pull a sweep here and there. Hopefully they win today and get this sweep. All right, cool. We're feeling good. So we'll see.
Any inside baseball information from you and Bally on Clemens? That sounds like the kid can hit the ball.
Yeah, he's been good in the minors. I don't follow the minor leagues as closely as I probably should. I have been seeing he's been going kind of semi-viral a few different times the last couple of weeks. It's a good story. I hope he makes it up to the bigs, and we'll see what happens when he gets there. But I don't think bringing up Cody Clemens is going to solve all of our problems.
Well, no.
But
I'd like to see him get a chance.
Right. It might be that like Badu spark that we've talked about.
Right. Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, we're caught up on that. I think we'll finish off the podcast with a little Tedtertainment. I know, Matt, you got something because I saw you tweet it. So we'll be right back with a Tedtertainment segment right after this. Well, we'll start Tedtertainment. Jared had to go for some work duty, so it'll be just you and I, Matt. And I know you had a chance to get into the new Hulu series, a 5-parter called Candy. First of all, let's get your thoughts.
Yeah, so I'll be curious to hear. I doubt Jared's watched it yet. So next time we talk about it, I'll be curious to hear if he's even seen it or whatever. But so yeah, it's on Hulu. And I forget, do you have Hulu? I know you got basically every other series.
Oh yeah, okay. I've watched the whole thing.
Oh, you have watched it?
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so I'll give my few thoughts, and then I'll be curious to hear yours. No spoilers because I haven't finished it yet.
I won't.
We're 3 episodes in, and so yeah, for people who don't know, Candy, it's on Hulu. The star is Jessica Biel. She produced it, and then she's the lead actress and the I guess secondary role. I'm blanking on her name right now. What I know her from is she was Rose in Two and a Half Men.
Yep.
So yeah, those are the 2 basically main characters, the 2 women, and they're both fantastic. They're both play these roles so well. And so, like I said, we're 3 episodes in, and it's like we kind of wanted to finish it last night if we wanted to stay up till 3 a.m. or whatever, but because it's one of those shows like you just want to just watch it all. You just want to watch it all in one go. And it's about it's one of those based on a true story from back in the 70s, 80s. A serial killing or, a murder type of situation. I don't want to give away too much, but.
Well, I would say it's a 1980s version of Lizzie Borden.
Okay.
You know that name? This was back in the 1800s or something. Lizzie Borden apparently axed her husband, I believe, but it's more of an updated story on that.
Gotcha. Yeah. But yeah, it's gripping. I feel like I remember hearing about this, but like that was it. Like hearing about this story, maybe when they were talking about doing the show. But I didn't know any of the details. And I've told my wife a few times, like, I really want to look it up, but I also don't want to, before watching the rest of the show, I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to, see how things play out or whatever. So, but I will, once we finish the show, I'm going to read more about it because it's really interesting. So the show, and I love how the show is laid out. It's not just like a timeline going through, they kind of bounce back and forth, and, they go back and then they go forward to, and I like how, and that kind of keeps you engaged in the show, makes it a little interesting. So the production is really good. The acting is really well, or they're really good. They play the roles really well. And yeah, it's, I don't know. Me and you, Jared always laughs at us. I love these like murder shows and stuff, but no, super interesting. You probably remember the story. I mean,
actually, that's one I don't remember,
okay.
but I agree with everything you're saying about it. If I watched the whole thing, I would give it at least a 2.8 on the 3-point scale. Jessica Biel does a great job. I mean, she's an underrated actress. I think she did a great job with this and producing. And I think if you watch the series, watch closely on the set design, because if you want to go back to the late 70s, early 80s with macrame hanging on the wall and different things, the color scheme of the kitchen and the bathroom, stuff like that, it's dead on. It's exactly what it was like in those days. And that took some thought by the production people as well. So yeah, I think it's very good. I think you and your wife will really enjoy the last couple episodes.
Yeah, like I said, we wanted to watch last night. We were like, oh, do we want to pull this all-nighter type of thing and finish? But we'll probably finish tonight. But I was going to ask you about that first, if you watched it, and then also, is it like a time portal taking you back? Because that's what we said. The cars, the houses, the colors, the phones, and like everything is just like spot on.
Oh, I think it was her car pulled up to the neighbors, and it was like a green station wagon. I'm not sure what brand it was. I made the comment to my wife. I said, "Oh man, I want that station wagon. That would be very cool."
And then the one dude is driving like a yellow, I think it was like a Volkswagen truck. And my wife and I both were like, "Wow, that truck, that's actually a cool truck."
Yeah.
But no, highly recommend. So yeah, I'm not going to give my scale yet, but super interesting. The story, and then just the production value and everything is very high. So if you've got Hulu, I would definitely recommend it. And it's only it's one of those, it's not going to be like a season 2, right? It's just
right. It wraps up. It wraps up. And speaking of these kind of shows, maybe it is good Jared's not here, so I can get some thoughts in without getting ridiculed. The Staircase. You know what that's about? Have you ever heard The Staircase? Well, The Staircase, it's another one of these murder mysteries. It's about a guy that his wife is at the bottom of the staircase, and the big mystery is, well, did he kill her or did she just fall down the stairs? And lots of blood involved in that part of it. And there was a documentary made in 2004 that was on Netflix. You can find it. It's called The Staircase, and really well done by these French filmmakers. Well, this is a current series with actors portraying the people that in real life were involved. Michael Peterson, he's the husband. Very strange background with him. He's a novelist. He wrote for a newspaper, I think, in Carolina, as a matter of fact, Matt, and ran for office down there. But he had a very dark past. He was an admitted bisexual, and there were different photographic things on his computer that the police found, and that got all tied into the whole case. It's very, very well done. The series is on HBO Max, and so I haven't watched the whole thing.
This is a true story?
True story, yeah.
Oh.
So the first one was the documentary. If you want to see the whole background, I would recommend at this point, if you didn't see that, watch the series and then go back and watch the documentary with the real people. It's just an amazing story.
And then, so the staircase, did they ever actually solve the case, I guess, or is it still kind of like ongoing type of thing?
I don't want to give anything away because it had kind of a bizarre finish as far as the court proceedings. So it's well worth watching.
They probably just framed someone and said that's good. Let's move on.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna spoil that one.
No, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I would check it out. I think it's very well done by the actors too. Colin Firth plays the husband, and
Oh,
Toni Collette plays the wife, and it definitely has sucked us in. And it's one of those though that irritate me. Like the Hulu one, it was 5 episodes every night of the week, right? So they'd play an episode. You couldn't binge it until the whole thing had been presented.
yeah.
That's not so bad. But the ones they do on HBO Max, you got to wait every week. So
Oh,
if you want to be caught up, you're watching it every week, and then you're going, "Oh, I can't wait. Why can't I watch the next one?" You got to wait a week, or you just wait till the whole thing's done and then binge it all, right? That's the two choices you have. That's the beautiful thing I like about Netflix, because once it's there, you can watch it all.
Yeah. Yeah. HBO is definitely, they're trying to keep you paying for that subscription, right?
Right. Yeah. It's different marketing things, But
Right.
if you want to get out cheap, then you're not going to get the water cooler talk, but you can wait till the end and just binge it for sure. I got one final thing, Matt, before we wrap this up. It's network TV. We don't talk about network TV too often, but my wife and I, for most of our network TV viewing, we'll watch Dateline, 48 Hours, and those type of shows. And there's a few sitcoms we mix in there, but very, very few hour dramas. But This Is Us. I don't know if you've watched it or watch it.
No.
I highly recommend it. I think it might be the best network television show that's been on in a long time. I mean, they get a solid 3.0 out of 3. They're wrapping up their run with their last couple episodes coming up. And just to give viewers or listeners a background, maybe doesn't understand it, it was about a family that the mother was going to have triplets. One of the children died in delivery. So there was 2 left. And then there was a young African-American family, or they delivered a boy, and they abandoned the boy. So this family that had the twins adopted this African-American kid. So they were all born on the same day. They're all raised as brothers and sisters. And it's the story of the Pearson family, and the writing, the acting, it's just amazing. So somewhere down the road, if it gets posted to Netflix or something, I would say you and your wife would really enjoy This Is Us, or anybody out there that hasn't seen it yet. It's just outstanding television.
Yeah, it's been highly I feel like you've even talked about it on here before, maybe even Jared, but multiple people have told us. I think my parents watch it. Even I think my parents one time when they were leaving a visit here, because does it air on Sundays?
No, I think it's Wednesday evenings, I think.
It might, actually, it might have been a Wednesday. They were leaving like midweek, and they were planning their hotel stop on the way back so they could hit, be in their hotel to watch This Is Us. But and then it's been on now for what's probably like 7 years or 7 seasons or something.
Yeah.
So
Finally reached the conclusion.
Yeah, I don't. Oh, and it's series finale, not just season finale.
Series finale, 2 weeks. Yeah. So I'll definitely be tuning in, and it's one of those shows, man, that it's got comedy, it's got tissue moments, I mean, it's I couldn't recommend it any higher.
Yeah. It seems like that. I don't think I've ever heard anyone who watches it say that it's not good.
Yeah, and then like I set up in the beginning, I mean, network television, they did it right with this one. There's a lot of network TV shows that, not that
Swing
good.
And miss.
Swing and miss. I'll wrap it up with this. We've talked about podcasts before, so I'm glad Jared isn't here for this one. Talking Sopranos. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I finally finished. Okay. 91 episodes. They run anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours each. I've listened to every one of them. They had their finale because they went through episode by episode. If you're ever looking for a podcast out there and you are a Sopranos fan, it's a must to listen to.
Yeah. Oh, if you're a Sopranos fan, I guess Anne listened to podcasts, but if I had watched it, I would definitely be all about it, because maybe some people aren't as interested in the behind the scenes stuff like we seem to be, but hearing the behind the scenes stuff, hearing stories from actors, like why certain scenes played out this way, why the script was written, that stuff would be super interesting to hear.
And it is. And to wrap it up, and I think you'll appreciate this one, and I'm always looking for different podcasts. Obviously, we want everybody to listen to 3-Point Podcast, but you got to mix it up once in a while. Once
Yep.
you're done with an hour of 3-Point Podcast, move on to something else. This is another one that I just started listening to. It's so good. It's called Fly on the Wall, and it's hosted by David Spade and Dana
Oh,
Carvey. And it's the inside look of Saturday Night Live. Okay, they
yeah.
have a Saturday Night Live guest on every episode, either a writer or a guest. Like the current one I'm listening to, they're chatting with Tina Fey.
Oh,
And David Spade, first of all, and Dana Carvey are hilarious, especially when you're listening to them. But they're mixing in imitations, and different things. So it's comedy, it's interview, and it's a behind the scenes look at Saturday Night Live. So I recommend that one. That's one I'm listening to. I think it's only like 14 episodes in, so I'll be able to be caught up on that one pretty quickly.
yeah. I've seen some clips from that one, and I'm glad you said that, because when I've seen clips, I've wanted to like bookmark it and check them out. Definitely, like when they have like Tina Fey would be good. Have they had Adam Sandler on yet?
I think so. The very first episode's Chris Rock.
Oh yeah.
So,
So like certain people, like if they have Will Ferrell, I would definitely want to listen to that one. Adam
right.
Sandler, like I said, it would have been cool if Chris Farley was still around to hear that. But no, that's definitely one thing. Like podcasts, obviously we like podcasts. We have our own podcasts. It's such a cool form of media, because like anyone can do it. So you have all these people now, like, yeah, this behind the scenes stuff at SNL, and like we talked about last week, there's people from The Office doing the same thing that the Sopranos one, talking about every episode of The Office. And there's probably going to be even more, with certain shows. Maybe with This Is Us, maybe in a couple of years there'll be one where the actors or the director or something talk about that show. So that stuff, it's just super interesting to me, because even though we talk about sports all the time or whatever, like that stuff maybe to some people can get old. It's just the same sports takes, same sports talk.
You're right.
Wherever you go. But to hear the behind the scenes stuff of Sopranos or Game of Thrones eventually, maybe, or SNL, that stuff's pretty cool.
Well, we'll save Game of Thrones for Jared next time he's back on with us, because there's a new it's a prequel coming out that's going to be coming up before we know it. And I just want to get his take before it starts to air, what he thinks. Is it going to be good? Is it going to be a big disappointment? Who knows? And like you talked about on our podcast, we talk sports. We give our opinions on sports. We mix it up with a lot of different things. And I think the listeners who have definitely responded back to us, I think they appreciate it. And we definitely like to have the feedback from them. What would you say is the best way for our listeners to get a hold of us? Is it Twitter?
I mean, yeah, probably, definitely social media, Facebook.
Yeah.
Because we post our podcast and a bunch of other stuff on Facebook. So a message or even just comment. We have some listeners who comment on almost every Facebook post we do, and then Twitter. Right. Just tweet us back or whatever. We do have the email address. People don't use email as much as they used to, but you can shoot us an email, 3pointpod@gmail.com. But yeah, I would definitely say follow us on all our social media at 3pointpod, and we reply, and we try to, if you shoot us a topic, we'll try and get into it, or if you give us a comment, we'll read it on the podcast and stuff. No, we love all the support from our listeners and everyone.
Absolutely. And we read every one of them too.
Yeah.
So that's important. All right, Matt, I think we've carried on long enough.
I'm curious. I was just going to say, I'm curious too about the Game of Thrones thing with Jared. I'm curious if how the Game of Thrones ended,
right?
If that kind of turned people off to this one, if because it kind of ended with a dud, if people are kind of like, whatever, or if, they're kind of back, like excited again.
It'll be interesting for sure, because like I said, I'm almost 100% it's a prequel, so it's a lot of the same family names in it, but it's earlier. So I'm sure the production value will be as good. I don't know if the same producer or writer is going to be involved, but if he is, it should be decent. And that's one of the ones that I can't believe I watched the whole thing after the fact, but I'm glad I did, because it was really good. Like we've always said, HBO puts out a good product when they put those series out there, man. They do it right.
Can't go wrong.
Nope. All right, Matt, it's been a lot of fun. I just want to tell our listeners this has been a 3-Point podcast presented by Memorial Healthcare, home of the Now Community Wellness Center. Check them out for sure. Follow them on Facebook. Follow us at 3 Point Pod and spread the word to all your friends and family. And make sure you let all our partners know you listen in and enjoy the show. They include Pro Real Estate and Auction, Nelson House Funeral Homes, Rivals Tap House and Grill, Success Group Mortgage and Servicing, the Wash of Owasso, and the ALS Association of Michigan. Until next time, so long, everyone. Thanks for listening and stay strong, Ukraine.